In April 2019, experienced British cave diver Josh Bratchley descended into a flooded cave in Jackson County, Tennessee. It was supposed to be a routine exploration, another adventure in the dark, water-filled tunnels that he had navigated countless times before. But as the hours passed, something went terribly wrong. Trapped alone, submerged in freezing water, and running out of air, Josh Bratchley would face one of the most harrowing ordeals of his life. A seasoned explorer, Josh Bratchley wasn't just any diver. He was part of the elite team of British cave rescuers who had helped save the trapped Thai soccer team in 2018. An experienced and highly skilled cave diver, he was well-versed in the dangers of underground exploration. But no amount of training could have fully prepared him for the ordeal he was about to endure. The Tennessee cave system was well known among the diving community, dark, twisting, and submerged in cold, murky water. It was the kind of place that required precision, calm, and a deep respect for the environment. On that fateful day, Bratchley, along with a small team of fellow divers, entered the cave to conduct a routine mapping mission. Their goal was to explore the underwater passages, collect data, and safely resurface. But as the dive progressed, something went terribly wrong. Lost in the darkness deep within the flooded cave, Josh became separated from the group. Visibility was near zero, the water was cold, and the walls of the cave seemed to close in on all sides. The worst part, he had no way to signal for help. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of his own breathing as it echoed through the cavern. Cave diving is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Unlike open-water diving, there is no direct access to the surface. If something goes wrong, you can't simply swim up. You have to navigate a complex, often confusing path back to safety. And in this case, Josh had no clear way out. At first, he remained calm. He was a professional trained for situations like this. He knew the rules: stay calm, conserve air, and avoid unnecessary movement. But as the minutes turned into hours, the reality of his situation set in. He was alone, in total darkness with limited air and no food or water. If rescue didn't come soon, his chances of survival would drop drastically. A desperate search back on the surface. Josh's team had realized something was wrong. When he failed to return on time, they immediately sprang into action. Cave rescues are notoriously difficult. The conditions are extreme and any wrong move could be fatal. But they knew they had to act fast. Authorities were alerted and soon, rescue teams from across the country began mobilizing. Among them was a team of expert cave divers, some of the best in the world, who had volunteered to attempt the nearly impossible: finding and extracting Josh Bratchley from the depths of the flooded cave. But time was running out. Josh had already been trapped for hours, and with every passing moment, the danger increased. Would they reach him in time? Or was the Tennessee cave about to claim another victim? Surviving against the odds inside the cave, Josh knew he had to conserve his energy. Panic would only make things worse. He slowed his breathing, forcing himself to remain as calm as possible. He thought back to his training, to every lesson he had learned about survival in extreme conditions. If anyone could make it through this, it was him. But as the hours dragged on, his body began to betray him. The cold seeped into his bones, making it harder to move. Dehydration set in, his mouth dry and parched. His air supply was dwindling. If help didn't come soon, he wouldn't have the strength to keep fighting. Above ground, rescuers worked tirelessly to locate him. The cave was a labyrinth, twisting and turning in unpredictable ways. One wrong turn, and they could miss him entirely. But they refused to give up. Finally, after nearly 24 hours of relentless searching, they found a clue, a small disturbance in the silt, a sign that someone had been there recently. Hearts pounded. They were close. But was Josh still alive? As they ventured deeper into the cave, the tension was unbearable. The walls seemed to press in, the weight of the water above them a constant reminder of the danger they faced. And then, in the dim glow of their headlamps, they saw something, movement in the darkness. A flicker of hope. Josh was still alive. But getting him out was another battle entirely. The moment the rescue team spotted movement in the dark, cold water, hope surged through them. Josh Bratchley was alive, but he wasn't safe yet. Getting him out of the flooded cave would be one of the most dangerous operations they had ever attempted. A fragile existence trapped for nearly 24 hours in complete darkness. Josh had been surviving on sheer willpower. His air supply was dangerously low, and he hadn't eaten or drunk anything since he had become separated from his team. His body was weak, his movements sluggish, and his mind had to battle against exhaustion. Despite the situation, Josh had relied on his extensive training. He had found a small air pocket in the cave, a tiny space where he could breathe and wait for help. It wasn't much, but it had kept him alive. He had remained as still as possible, slowing his breathing to conserve oxygen and keeping his thoughts focused on survival. But time was running out. When the first rescuer reached him, Josh was alert but clearly worn down. His eyes adjusted to the faint light of their headlamps, and for the first time in hours, he saw something other than blackness. Relief washed over him, but he knew this was only the beginning. Planning the escape, the cave system was a maze of narrow tunnels, sharp rock formations, and tight spaces barely wide enough for a human body to squeeze through. Some parts were completely submerged, requiring divers to navigate through treacherous underwater passages with no margin for error. A single mistake, getting caught on a rock, losing control of buoyancy, or panicking, could mean death. The rescue team had two options: bring Josh out the same way they came in, requiring him to dive through flooded tunnels in his weakened state. Find an alternative route, though none were guaranteed to be safer. After a quick assessment, they knew the first option was the only realistic choice. They would have to guide Josh through the flooded tunnels, keeping him calm and ensuring he had enough air to make it out. The final push with careful planning, the rescue team fitted Josh with a full-face diving mask and extra oxygen. Each move was deliberate, every second crucial. They slowly guided him through the dark, narrow tunnels, ensuring he followed their lead without panic. The journey out was tense. The passageways were tight, the visibility non-existent. But with steady, coordinated movements, they pushed forward. Finally, after nearly 30 hours trapped underground, Josh Bratchley emerged from the cave alive. The ordeal was over. He had survived against all odds, thanks to his training, resilience, and the relentless efforts of the rescue team.